Hello, welcome back, everybody, to the APAC HealthTech Innovation Conclave. After the inaugural session, which saw the presence of Honorable Minister of Chhattisgarh Health Minister, who was the chief guest. Also, we had participation from AIMS Bhopal, AIMS Bathinda, AIMS Delhi, AIMS Raipur, also from two state governments, Haryana and Kerala, along with NIC and also the industry leader from Dell Technologies. Also, all of them has given their take on the importance of leveraging technology and innovation for the healthcare ecosystem, especially for the new world order and the coming months and years to come. That was the crux of the inaugural session. Now we're joined by a very special guest with us. Let me introduce to all of you. We are joined by Mr. Venkat Sitaram, General Manager and Geo Head, South India Corporate Business, Dell Technologies. Welcome, Mr. Venkat Sitaram.
Hey, thanks. Thanks very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope all of us are doing safe and fine. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. You're audible. So over to you, Venkat, for your presentation on smart healthcare transformation solutions. So over to you, Venkat.
Hey, thank you very much once again. It's been an absolute privilege to be here this afternoon talking to eminent set of dignitaries who are participated in the event and panelists and the co-speakers who kick-started this. Uh, what I'm going to do next 15-20 minutes is share a perspective on how we are looking at smart healthcare solutions that are changing the way patient care today is being provided. And it is also helping drive, call it a digital transformation or innovation for the future in the ever fast changing world. More than often, when we talk to healthcare, of late we keep hearing one thing that what's we all gone through, the kind of impact is unheard of and unbelievable and unprecedented. And I can keep going on this. Now, most of us were not prepared, most of the businesses were not prepared, and now eventually have learned to become prepared. The question still that comes to a lot of our minds is, are we ready for any other similar impact that is coming in our way for the future? This is more than often a question that we keep hearing when we talk to the healthcare ecosystem about the innovations in healthcare and about leverage of technology. So, with that being the context, what I thought is I will share what Dell Technologies is doing and give a perspective about the industry trends that we are hearing and learning, not just in India but worldwide. Let me begin first by saying that healthcare has always been on the forefront and very personal to Dell as a company. Over the last 3 odd decades, I think we've made significant progress in partnering with customers like yourself, partners, and we built a very strong ecosystem with a lot of ISVs in this space. And this focus is right from the top, as you can see here. Michael, when he announced our social impact vision recently and the moonshot goals in 2019, healthcare was on the center. It was the center force on which we were uh, looking at helping over 1 billion people transform worldwide. However, this wouldn't have been possible without unlocking the power of data. The amount of data that is getting generated in advancing healthcare for making insightful decisions is going to be very, very critical in rendering healthcare services for the future. So, data, therefore, is going to be on the forefront for everything that we do. I did mention that healthcare is near and dear to a company, and um, thanks to all the support that we have had these many years, we've seen ourselves increasing our presence year by year significantly across a large spectrum of healthcare institutions today, globally as well as in India. Now, these numbers are evident and they speak for itself that we had a long standing and we only continue to build on the foundation that's being laid. So, I'm not going to get into specific of these numbers. But what I wanted to share with you is within the Dell Technologies company, we have a healthcare unit within the company. That makes you thinking, what is this person talking about a healthcare unit within a technology company? Yeah, we do have CTO for healthcare. We have Chief Innovation Officer for healthcare, who is a subject matter expert from this domain. The domain leadership exists right at the top, and they completely understand the requirements and the leverage of technology in this industry more than any better. Now, to combine this insight strength that we have with healthcare in the unit, we've also added our solution architects, SMEs, subject matter experts, sales experts, and pre-sales experts around this area, so that we are able to have conversations with healthcare institutions of all sizes in India or even at a global level, to be able to tell them what kind of changes or what kind of decisions that they have to do in advancing patient care. And there, technology infrastructure plays a very, very critical role. And that's where, on a step by step basis, we are in a position to be a consultative partner, to be able to be seen as um, a, a technology vendor of choice today in most of the institutions. And we are progressing very well. And we really take pride in stating that healthcare is right at the top, at the center of everything that we do. I want to give a view of how the top trends are looking in healthcare, and you've heard this more than me. It's a large ecosystem that is growing, and if I were to look at this chart from the bottom of the right side that you can see here, a lot of that data that is getting created is sitting at multiple places. It's multi-cloud ecosystem. Healthcare continues to be one of the biggest contributor of cloud computing ecosystem today, and estimates say it's going to touch 60 billion plus in the next 5 years. What you can see is the telehealth is expanding 7 times. The amount of time that is taken for data to double is nearly come down to close to 60 days, and that speaks the amount of data that is getting created, new data that is created, or the data that is moving between multiple clouds in terms of either storage or in terms of analyzing this data for making some impactful decisions, meaningful patient care decisions, and so on and so forth. And if you look at the ecosystem in terms of our population itself, one would realize close to 10% of worldwide population is aged 65 plus, and one out of this three is is ailing one or the other chronic ailments, as you will know. Therefore, what it has done is the amount of time that today clinicians spend on treating patients versus the time that they spend in EHR administrative tasks has significantly gone up. So, technology becomes a central lever to ensure that they are able to spend time on the EHR to make meaningful decisions, to be able to collaborate with physicians around the world or within the clinicians community, at the same time to be able to be seen in front of the patient for necessary, needy, vital care, and so on and so forth. What is driving this? Of course, the chronic ailments, as you would have seen, that is driving the data growth today big time. And you saw that one out of the three in the worldwide aged population is somewhere going through one of these ailments. What this would mean is new sets of data is getting created. The need for new storage, new ways of managing this data within the storage and to be able to infer and analyze this data is becoming very, very critical, and that's becoming the central pool of knowledge repository for this healthcare community to move forward. Different types of data sets, I'm not going to go into details, including the genome sequencing and so on and so forth, is all imaging intensive. And these data also has to be stored for a longer time to meet the regulatory compliances that are ongoing in the country. So extremely secure foundation of modern IT health infrastructure will be critical in terms of delivering services to the customers, and that's where Dell is today looking at these insights, are working with customers to help them navigate in this journey much faster and to be able to gain significant efficiencies. So what we call this as next normal is all about business resiliency. Last few months, we spent a lot of time in helping our healthcare customers by able to augment supply chain, by able to set up emergency services which are required to take off certain new operations within a healthcare setup, and a secure framework These are things that we have done, but now I think it is important to look at this, what we call as next normal, in two parts. One is midterm and of course medium term, and long term, which is maybe 2 years from now, how things are going to shape up. So from the midterm, um, it's about those balancing that efforts that comes from a perspective of the patient care at the hospital versus the patient care through remote. The world has evolved to a hybrid environment. As I speak today, even I'm not in office doing this session. I'm kind of doing this from an office at home, and that is changing, right? So the same thing has started in this healthcare industry as well, and we see a lot of investment around virtual health to coming up as an ongoing, business model for providing medical needs. And over a period of time, this hybrid model will evolve itself. It will combine both on-face treatment to virtual patient care and so on and so forth. Therefore, it is important to look at um, the IT framework from a next normal perspective. What was set up earlier, what was set up during the pandemic was to respond to the changing needs. But what needs to be set up for the future is about those transformational needs. That's where we talk about business resiliency. And for that, I think Dell Technologies, I'm happy to say that we've looked at the long-term trends that are going to change the whole model, and then evolved with a certain framework that will help our customers in navigating what we call as this medium-term and long-term, initiatives. Thereby, the whole thing of healthcare is seen changing from being a responsive care to a recovery and even more proactive care. Here is the framework that we built in. We broadly see it around four pillars, as you can see here. And this, we believe, will lead to delivering smarter healthcare solutions to the customers. We see these four pillars as modern technology being number one as the forefront, where your IT infrastructure should be multi-cloud enabled and should be able to run different kind of workloads. So which workload should run in what cloud, and how do we leverage uh, the best experience of this data to make decisions, and which data should sit in what cloud so that you get the best return on investment. Now, all these are critical. No one size fits all. And that's where our experts would come in and help customers build an operational resiliency with a modern technology infrastructure. Second, with um, with things opening up and elective healthcare services returning in terms of OPD and our regular care, along with the pandemic and post-pandemic care that is anyway ongoing, I think it is definitely clear that the medical staff, clinicians, all are going to work in a hybrid environment, work from home at the same time, come to the hospital and being able to serve the needs of the patient and so on and so forth. So when this happens, it's extremely critical to enable a digital workplace, connect from anywhere, connect from any device, make sure these images, we talked about those MRI, CT scans, PET scans, and so on and so forth. Make sure that those are available no matter where you are, so that you're able to diagnose and give treatment. Now, when data moves within this, when you are at office, when you're at home, etc., it is mandatory that you should run that on a trusted device, which has a ground sub security built in, so that security is also taken care. And that's where anytime, anywhere workforce with ground up security built in to be able to leverage different kinds of images with the bandwidth requirements being different, etc., is critical. And hence, connected workflows will help, really be a productive workforce for an healthcare institutions today to be able to meet the scaling needs of the health requirements that are coming up from the patient care ecosystem. The last two, we call it as virtual health and personalized health, and this is something for the future. In fact, these are creating revenue streams for most of the hospitals. It's not that only a hospital of a certain size with an X number of beds will have to look at it. I think, in our view, most of the hospitals will start seeing this because they would see themselves addressing a larger plane of a patient ecosystem, not locally, even globally sometimes. And that's where virtual care, telehealth, and things like that are significantly come into prominence. Not that they didn't exist earlier, they existed, but I think today the percentage of all of this is significantly higher. That has caused change in the basic technology infrastructure, the tools and the management layers to various dashboards that are getting set up in the institutions. And that's where the start of the digital journey evolves. This leads to finally a personalized health ecosystem that we need to build in, because all the data available anywhere, everywhere has to sit somewhere, and you need to run a certain ML, machine learning apps, to be able to come at precision diagnostics and to be able to share the pathology information across a community of clinicians and so on and so forth. And that's where personalized care, personalized health, wellness care, and things like that are significantly coming up. And these things are considerations to be made in delivering smarter healthcare ecosystem services. Not to forget, data has to be protected everywhere. That becomes very central and critical. And hence, at Dell Technologies, we believe that whatever you do around these four pillars, it is important to have data protected and security as a fundamental grounds of framework across all these four pillars. And this is what we bring to table. Let's take a look at this one by one very quickly. I talked about modern technology solutions. It's about looking at some of those critical workloads, which one to sit in what kind of cloud. And it is evident that close to 80% of institutions today are saying that they will want to embrace cloud. With that clarity, which to sit in what cloud and how do you leverage the power of resiliency, availability, and serviceability, these becomes critical, and help the underlying health IT infrastructure itself should be something that is scalable for the future needs, not built for yesterday, but it is getting built for the next normal. The technology infrastructure to be built for the next normal becomes a critical consideration. Talked about connected workforce. Here is where VMware Workspace ONE, which allows unified management of all the devices, and it enables a basic level of end user security that is built in with carbon black and so on and so forth. And I talked about not one size fits in all. It's not that one desktop or laptop or something will fit in all for everybody. Depending on the usage, access, different clinicians will need different types of devices. So these needs to be consulted, structured in a proper framework so that the best outcomes are being seen. The best outcomes with a connected workforce, meaning more productivity to the institution, better service to the community. So both are equally important. While doing this, it's all about virtual care, telehealth, right, and remote patient monitoring. Some amount of personalization starts with this. Do we have those tools? Do we have those capabilities that are built within, so that we are able to do this through intelligent storage automation that we bring in? One needs to do a tele ICE or a tele-sitting consultation at home or a tele-nursing. You need to have that NVMe kind of backend, storage solutions that will give the performance that are needed to be able to instantly do this without any I would say lag while doing this remotely. And same thing when it comes to telehealth, you need a repository of the patient health system being there, and are able to make changes on a time to time basis, including various recommendations for the wellness and improvement. We talked about the average age of patient growing, and most one out of the three are significantly growing through ailments. And if the country's aged population are living longer, power of technology is going to be a big boost, and in turn, the overall digital transformation that is going to help drive virtual care and a new way of telehealth. Boiling down finally is the personalized health solutions, and this is where the specific, reading genomic sequences, etc., is not possible with standard standalone technology infrastructure. Specialized high performance computing infrastructure has to come into play for be able to do this on a regular basis. And then to be able to unlock the value of these imaging, you need to have a very strong future-proof archiving systems, etc., which are also regulatory compliant, and you're able to send this data within a community of clinicians, so that when a new revenue stream like this is started, the hospital is able to see the benefit of combining the force and to be able to reach a larger wide of audience, not just limited to their set of patients who are already in touch with them. So this is about changing the world, expanding the footprint of a hospital to serve a larger community of patients. So all these considerations in technology becomes critical, and this is where we come at each of these stages and be able to consult with our customer partners and help them quickly adapt to these solutions which are integrated, built in, so that when it comes to the site location, be it on-prem or off-prem, you're able to quickly deploy your workload and get going without wasting any time. And as I talked about, when data is moving across, it is important to protect this, secure this, make sure that data is safe. And as you can see here, for our Dell Technologies, security has been on the forefront. We look at protecting data comprehensively across edge to the core, to the cloud. And what we create is a cyber vault, as you can see here. So wherever the data is, whether it is in your private cloud or a public cloud or anywhere else at the edge, we're looking at protecting your data. And what we can assure you is any SLA, any target, or any source that you want to protect, it's foolproof and ensure that the efficacy levels that are drawn are significantly higher than anybody else's. I think this is one area where predominantly we're making a quick progress and been a fair degree of success. Not many have seen us in this space being active, traditionally known for the IT infrastructure, but here is where security across endpoints to data center to the network becomes critical, and that's where we bring in a very, very comprehensive portfolio to be able to move and access faster. A very broad ecosystem of healthcare I talked about. We work with who's of the world in terms of qualifying our technology solutions and making sure that these are interoperable and these are scalable. We know that most of you also work with such partners, so you have these technology infrastructure which are validated and already foolproof and interoperable. Imagine it becomes very, very easy. We take that guess, we take that amount of R&D that is required or a test validation that is required in your ecosystem on ourselves, so that the moment it leaves a factory, it's up ready and you can get going into this journey much faster. This is how we enable organizations to achieve their medium terms and even a long term goals much faster than what I alluded to you a short while back. It's a combination of not just the infrastructure solutions. This is the new Dell Technologies family that I wanted to share with you. It's also about the software defined everything through VMware, multi cloud, and the secure works to be able to give anytime SLA security, and to be able to look at orchestrating data between multi cloud through Boomi and offering it as a platform as a service through Virtual Stream. This is where we see Dell Technologies as an essential partner for accelerating digital transformation in healthcare, for smarter healthcare services for the future. With that, I like to conclude my presentation, and I hope last 15-20 minutes of our conversation was useful. I look forward talking to you more as we go through this, and any further questions, me and my team are available uh, to answer at any point in time. So, Shavik, with that, let me hand this over back to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Venkat Sitaraman. Venkat Sitaram, General Manager and Geo Head, South India Corporate Business Dell Technologies, for giving an insightful presentation on smart healthcare transformation solutions. You talked about modernized technology, converted workforce, virtual healthcare, and personalized healthcare, and how Dell fits into the scheme of thing like multi-cloud solutions, health IT infrastructure, digital workplace, virtual care, everything. You talked about everything, how this three, four places where Dell fits into. And I'm sure the audience who are present here today and will be present tomorrow and day after, and the speakers from other sessions will be interested to know more about this kind of smart healthcare transformation solutions by Dell Technologies. Thank you so much,